Alright guys, how you doing? It's Rabea, hope you're all well. So, in this video, we're going to be taking a look at a brand new Overdrive pedal from the wonderful people at Fortin Amplification. Hopefully you guys know who Fortin amps are. Mike Fortin, great amp designer that's been responsible for some absolutely disgustingly heavy amplifier tones. He's done a bunch of pedals as well, the Hex and the Zool, and they have recently collaborated on a brand new Overdrive pedal with Adam Christensen and Josh Middleton from Architects. If you've not heard of them, which I find a little bit hard to believe if you're watching my channel, but if you haven't, I sincerely recommend you checking out their live at Abbey Road version of Animals, which recently came out, and it's, well, I say recently, a little while ago, floored me. I watched it, I was like, this is epic. So that's who Architects are. They've been around for a very long time. They're also based in Brighton, which is cool. They rehearse at Brighton Electric from time to time when they're doing their pre-production, and Adam actually lives with Max, who some of you may know from other videos and stuff. It's also worth saying that I just bought two Mesa oversized 412s from Architects because I heard that they were getting rid of them, and I spoke to Adam and he was like, yeah, we're selling them, so if you want to with road cases. I was like, please let me have those. In this video, we're taking a look at this collaboration pedal between Fortin Amplification and Josh and Adam from Architects. It's called the Tempëst. It's an overdrive pedal and it's super simple, but it's really designed around the utility purpose of an overdrive in modern metal music. What I think Adam and Josh were going for here with the design of the Tempëst was to create a overdrive that was really almost utilitarian in its approach to just serving as a tool to just fine tweak the sound of your tone molded together with that overdrive in mind. In other words, it's an overdrive pedal with a high and a low pass filter. Normally we just have drive, level and tone on an overdrive pedal. However, because I believe Adam and Josh use different style amplifiers, you know, I believe Josh likes the 5150, it's a little bit more fizzy in the top end, and I believe Adam used the Diesel or the Mesa stuff, which I believe is a little more like loose in the low end. It's not as tight, and it's certainly not quite as fizzy as a 5150. So the idea being is that there are other ends of the spectrum. Having a low and a high pass filter on it means that you can use the low pass to get rid of the fizz on the 5150, and then you can use the high pass to tighten up the low end of something like a Mesa. So in this video, I've got a couple of guitars. I'm running this with the 29 pedals Una in front, but the Tempëst is going into my KHE switcher, and I've got my 5150, I've got my SLO, and I've got my Super Kraken all rigged up. They're all kind of similar in terms of their tone, you know, they're all based, well, at least, you know, the 5150 was based on the SLO, and there was a heavy amount of influence from the 5150 in the design of the Super Kraken. So they're all kind of singing from the same hymn sheet, tonally. So it seems like a good idea. I've talked enough in this video. Let's just crack on and try out the Tempëst Overdrive from Fortin. Okay, so I figured we'd start with the Mayonnaise. It's in drop C, and then we'll go down to the Baritone. But it's all kind of high gain tones. In terms of signal chain, as I've told you, it's running into the KHE and all the rest of it. But cabs wise, we're using Archetype Nolly on his high gain once it's a V30 oversized 412. So let's take a listen. We're going to start with the Kraken. And then we'll dial in the Tempëst to see if we can get a little bit more out of it. So, this is the Kraken. Okay, so we've heard the sound of the amplifier. Just so you know, I've also added a gate, the Rev G8 gate, because it's high gain. We're running more gain into it. It just gets really intense, and I figured we'd use a gate just to, you know, tame it all. And let's throw on the Tempëst. The high and the low pass aren't engaged, and we're just boosting it with the level up front. So. Works. And actually I like the amount of sort of girth it gives it. If you hear that chug, so because the Kraken has got quite a lot of chunk, what I wanted to try using the Tempëst for was just to tighten that up a little bit. So I've dialed it out. This is with it out. So that works. I mean, certainly tighter. Listen. Boosting the level way more is going to give us, you know, more gain, more low end, all the rest of it. So having that high pass there to tighten it up certainly works. What I'm getting so far is that although this isn't the most drastic of controls, I feel like where it's placed, where they've placed the high pass filter, is just the right amount so that when it's turned all the way up, it doesn't sound thin and useless. Because you know, you wouldn't use it if it just thinned out to the point of no return. Like, that's not the point of using a low pass on a guitar, you know, unless that's a very specific filter sweep sound you're going for. With this, seems like they've just chosen the right sweet spot. So it's tight and it's pronouncing the mid-range even more. So we've heard how it can sort of tighten up something like the Kraken. Let's move across to the 5150 and see if we can sort of tame some of the fizz. Okay, 5150. So it should sound pretty fizzy. Let's just turn on the Tempëst and see what happens. So now you can hear quite clearly how tight that is. Obviously there's a gate there, but you see what I mean by the chugging. Way faster than if I take it off. It's almost, in terms of the high-end information, the same. Because obviously when you turn a boost on, hits the front end of the amplifier and it exaggerates all of the things the amp does, the preamp. So that's why you accentuate the fizz. Whereas, as you can clearly see on the controls that I've laid out here, when I'm turning it on and off, I'm personally not hearing a massive difference in the high-end information in terms of the fizz. Now if I roll that back up out of the equation, you can clearly hear the difference. One is suddenly, you know, with the low pass taken out of the equation, suddenly when you turn it on, it suddenly seems really, really, it's tight, but it's also like really intense at the top. Then if I bring it back down like this, okay, so far mega easy to use, and it's It's way more subtle than I thought it was going to be, but I can clearly hear how it works and how it's, you know, shaping the tone of each amplifier I'm trying. So now we've heard the 5150, makes perfect sense to move to the SLO. Okay, now we're on to the SLO. So it's not over the top with gain or anything like that. Let's see what happens when we turn it on. Mate, that sounds so good. Right. It's awesome. Right. Let's mess. Tidy up some of that high end a bit. At first, I thought that the high-pass filter, as in the bottom left knob, was way more obvious what it was doing than the low-pass filter, the bottom right knob. But when you back-to-back chug like that, it's so obvious what it's doing. It's just funny, because when you just turn it on and off, you're not really thinking, it seems almost like it doesn't do very much, but... You see what I've done? I've managed to sort of kind of imitate the high-end response again. Maybe we could shelf it back a bit more. Let's try now. So although there's more gain because we're boosting the front end, I don't feel like it's suddenly going out of control high end again. And in terms of tightness, as I said, if you hit the preamp hard with a boost, you're going to get more of everything, so like low end and stuff. So I've taken the high pass out. You can hear there's more now. And so if we boost that again, try and replicate. See that? It's almost made it sound less gainy. I get this pedal now. So far, I like it. Let's move on to the baritone. Right, baritone's cool because obviously it gives more low ends. So, plugged into the SLO. Because it's so much lower, suddenly it sounds way duller. So, let's reset. Right, we can tighten this up. I feel like the 9 o'clock setting is good for that. Now it's picking out that chug, listen. Alright, we can mess with that. Let's see what happens if we try a bit of this. So we can try and get that to be more precise. almost too messy now. There's definitely a sweet spot here where I can get that kind of lick to jump out using this pedal. I always found that when I was trying to do that kind of stuff, I'd turn off the tube screamer because it was too much. It was just giving too much gain and too much, it just sounded messy. But with this, you know, without it, it needs a bit more tightness. I can literally dial in to tighten up and do that kind of lick with the tube screamer on, which is something I never would have done before. Let's go 5150 just cause. Okay, there is a look at the Tempëst Overdrive from Fortin Amplification and the dudes in Architects, Adam and Josh. Firstly, congrats to those guys for releasing a pedal. I think that's awesome. I was, obviously expecting an overdrive, the kind that you put in front of your high gain tone to tighten everything up, give it more aggression, all the rest of it. But where this differs is having those two controls in the way they've put them on the pedal, but acting as such a high pass and a low pass that have been sort of fine-tuned to the areas of the frequency spectrum they affect. Yes, it totally works in the way I was kind of hoping it would. It's not really drastic to the point where you're like, well, that's an unusable tone. It's not like it's this like brick wall like that's moving up and down the frequency spectrum on either end. That would be weird. What's nice here is that it's almost like an adaptive, the way that it sort of retains the low end, even though you're pulling it higher up the frequency spectrum, it retains the kind of perceived chunk, but it's tighter underneath what you're playing. And it almost subtracts the gain, because it's taking out, dBs of frequencies on either end that's actually not hitting the preamp as hard. So you actually start affecting the gain differently, which is cool. What I really like about it is that you take something like the SLO, where you've got that kind of high-end response that you want. You don't want to lose that when you turn on the pedal, where you'd use that low pass, dial it back a bit until it feels and it sounds just about the same response between having it on and off. I found that really, really nice, because particularly when I was trying the hammer-on licks and stuff, that would be where it would all get too messy when I'm using a boost or an overdrive in front of a high gain tone. But something like that is you get the sustain and the gain from the pedal, but then you use those EQs, those high and the low pass, just to shelf off the messiness. Basically, it's an overdrive pedal with a couple of really smart EQ choices on it that I think work really well for the genre of music being metal, like gent, progressive metal, all the genres of metal that use tube screamers in front of high gain tones. Yes, it does that very well, and I personally like their approach to the EQ and how you can shape and mold something as utilitarian as a boost. So the Tempëst retails for $229. I'm not sure if Fortin sell direct or not, but I don't think you can get those in the UK retailers or anything like that. So it's $229. I suppose work out the math on the conversion there if you want to buy that from overseas. But I personally think that's a fair price in the sense that it's a collaboration with an artist, so of course you've got to factor in their commission. On top of that, it's a tube screamer, but it does more than your kind of TS or OD808 from Maxon or anything like that. Like, it's got a lot more shaping functionality on it for something as, like I keep saying, utilitarian as a tube screamer. But of course, that's my opinion. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like the tones and chugs in this video, also let me know in the comment section below. But I will link the Tempëst Overdrive into the description box. I just want to say a huge thank you to Fortin and specifically Adam from Architects, because I don't know Josh as well as I know Adam, but thank you to those guys for asking me to do this video, to check out the Tempëst. And yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe and share. Please let me know what you think in the comment section. But until next time, I've been Rabea, and I'll see you all very soon.